The sun had barely risen when the knock on my door came. A loud, aggressive pounding that jerked me out of the peace I'd been craving for months. I opened the door half awake, expecting maybe a delivery. Instead, I found two police officers standing on my porch, hands resting calmly on their belts, and behind them, Karen, the infamous HOA Karen of Redwood Lakes. Arms crossed, lip curled, smirk already in place like she'd just won a war. "Sir," one of the officers began, "we've received a complaint regarding suspicious equipment and possible illegal activity in your garage." I blinked. "In my garage? What illegal activity?" Karen cut in before the officer could speak. "He's building something dangerous. I've seen the tools, the wires, the chemicals. I think it might be explosive." She said the last word dramatically, like she was whispering a secret that could bring down the world. I stared at her, stunned. "Are you talking about my model ship?" The officers exchanged a look. "Model ship?" I gestured toward the garage. "Yes, I'm restoring a 6-foot wooden model. It belonged to my father." The officers followed me inside. Karen stormed behind us as if she, not the police, was leading the investigation. Inside stood the ship, an intricately carved galleon, half-polished, covered in delicate copper detailing. A soft lamp glowed above it, illuminating the dust I hadn't yet brushed off. The officer's shoulders relaxed immediately. Karen's did not. "That's the thing," Karen snapped. "It has wires. He sands wood. That's a hazard. He keeps chemicals. He's violating community rules." The officers sighed. One said, "Ma'am, he's doing woodworking." But Karen wasn't done. She pointed at the ship like it had personally insulted her ancestors. "It's too big. That violates aesthetic codes. It faces the street. I don't like seeing it." I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of how absurd the entire situation had become. My father's ship, his last project before he passed, had been sitting untouched in a storage unit for 8 years. I'd brought it home 3 months ago to finally restore it. One plank, one memory at a time. And somehow Karen had turned my grief into a police visit. The officers apologized and left. Karen didn't. She issued a warning. "If you don't remove that thing, the HOA will take action." And she did. Within days, I received violation letters accusing me of running a home business without a permit, of storing commercial materials, of operating heavy machinery, and even disturbing community peace, because apparently my handheld sander was ear-shattering. The final letter threatened fines. I finally snapped. I marched into the HOA meeting, something I had avoided since moving in, and placed the wooden ship model right on the table in front of everyone. Gasps echoed. "This," I said, tapping the deck gently, "is what your president has called dangerous, disruptive, and illegal. This belonged to my father. It is the only thing I have left of him, and I will not throw it away because one person is on a power trip." Karen turned beet red. "You can't just bring that in here." "Oh, I can," I said. "In fact, I brought more." And I placed the stack of violation letters beside it. The room murmured. Some homeowners who'd previously been silent suddenly found their courage. "She fined me for having a wind chime," one neighbor whispered. "She tried to tow my wheelchair ramp," said another. "She told my son his chalk drawings were vandalism," added someone else. Story after story poured out. Things I'd never known because everyone had been afraid to challenge her alone. But I wasn't alone anymore. That night, 4 neighbors knocked on my door. They wanted to help restore the ship. They said it made them feel hopeful just watching me work on it. Soon people started stopping by, offering old woodworking tools, polishing cloths, varnish, even snacks and coffee. For once, the neighborhood felt like a community. Karen hated it. She patrolled the street every morning, filming us, muttering complaints. But what she didn't realize was that her harassment was being filmed too, by multiple neighbors who were tired of suffering in silence. One of them, a retired attorney, quietly collected all the evidence. And then the investigation began. A city inspector arrived one afternoon after someone filed a complaint. This time not against me, but against the HOA itself. Karen tried to intercept him, tried to charm him, tried to intimidate him. None of it worked. Within weeks, an audit uncovered unauthorized fines, misuse of HOA funds, discriminatory enforcement of rules, multiple instances of falsified complaints, and harassment reports dating back years. Karen was removed as HOA president. But it didn't stop there. A citywide inquiry was opened into how many HOAs across the district were abusing their authority. News outlets picked up the story. Cameras rolled up and down our street, and there, behind every interview, every clip, stood my father's wooden ship, restored, polished, and gleaming proudly in the sunlight. The day the investigation concluded, the neighborhood gathered in my driveway. We'd decided to celebrate, not the fall of Karen, but the rise of something better: community, connection, human decency. I looked at the ship, tracing the carved figurehead with my fingertips. "I think my dad would have liked this," I said softly. "He'd be proud," a neighbor replied. "You brought people together." And as the sun set behind the mast, the ship seemed to glow, like a beacon reminding us that sometimes the smallest, most personal things we protect become the biggest things that change an entire community. If you want, I can also create 4 image prompts for thumbnails or storytelling scenes.